And we're going live to YouTube, by the way. So if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, give us a second to get our ducks in a row. I'm going to tweet out the link. Make sure everybody's with us. So good evening to everybody. Bear with us for a second. You'll see there's a first slide. You'll see my smiling face and my ubiquitous hat. Let me do a couple quick notes for everybody, and then we'll get started. Matt, Garrett, how you guys doing tonight?
Good. I'm doing great. How are you
awesome.
guys?
No, we're rocking out. We're a man down today. We're not going to have my trusty partner charge tonight. That's okay. We'll excuse him. He has some technical difficulties in Western New York on his vacation, so good for him. Give me 1 second. We're going to go live. And again, if you're listening to this on the YouTube channel, I apologize. There's no way to do a container for this show, so what ends up happening is you listen to me ramble for a couple minutes as we say we're going live. So please excuse me. And also, I'm about to post in the chat the link if you want to call at the end. We do take callers. We have at least one guest coming in. We're going to have Magic Juan come in and talk about lines at the very end, which we're very excited about as usual. If you go to the YouTube link, you can join us. If you go to the Twitter account for ZoomTheTBT, you will also see us there. I will do one more thing real quick. And then there we go. Okay, so there's a link in the chat as well on the YouTube. Okay, before we start the show officially, give a couple people maybe a minute or two to join us. So Garrett, what was your favorite moment of today? We'll do a full analysis later, but what was your favorite moment?
Favorite moment today, well, for probably different reasons, but was Elmore guarding Joe Johnson and wondering what the hell are they doing? Are they trying to win $1 million still, or are they trying to get some, some cool pictures? Which no, and I love, like, I'll be honest, like, going into the tournament, I was not sold on the Marshall team, and now I've become a big fan. I think they did a great job, and they made a great run, and I was pulling for them. But just that matchup, I was like, I think there's other guys you could put on Joe Johnson, but that was probably my big moment today.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
I think for me, similar. Obviously, everyone was excited to see Ott and Joe, sort of the contrast there. But as a GM of the TBT and someone who recruits guys, I just thought it was a joy to watch Joe Johnson and to see, because we watch these every year, and you say, man, it's amazing how many good basketball players are out there.
Yeah.
But I think what Joe Johnson really showed us is just how good the really good basketball players are. He's out of the league now, but he made it
not for long.
But what I'm saying is, it was effortless for him, and it was just a joy to watch that talent level play in this tournament. And I just thought, I have even more of a respect for just guys who can play in the NBA that long. He's just an incredible talent, and I thought he was fun to watch.
I agree, and I was going to say, I was talking to somebody, I was like, Joe Johnson doesn't look 30. I don't know if he's 38 or 39. He looks like he's 28. Like, you could have told me that. He looks so good, and when you see a guy like that, and then you look at even the top G League players, you can see it. Why is this guy an NBA All-Star? Why is he scored 18, 19, 20 points for 15 years? It just makes sense.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed. What makes me, I think is amazing of him is his size, because obviously he's lost a step. But I think one of our other guest panelists who comes on had messaged me and said that the thing with him is he gets to spots. Speed isn't only you have to have speed. It's also about changing speeds and using your body. And he doesn't have to get around you. You can just get into you or above you. You can't sail cover him with most wings because he'll overpower people, and he's just slippery enough to just rise above and get a shot kind of whenever he wants. And he basically would post up, go face up, and then turn around and back guy down at 15, and then just slither around him for a quick turnaround. And there wasn't anybody on Herd that could cover that at all.
Right.
It was just amazing. But hey, I guess we've been people to join us. We're going to wait for some people, but we're going to get started. You guys feeling good?
Oh, great.
Okay, let's go ahead and make this show live. We'll do it official. If you're watching the chat, a couple of you are. We're going to, obviously, people will come back in as the show starts. We'll have replay up later. And you can join us at the end if you want on the meeting link in the chat. On that note, show starts officially in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's Charge Hand representing Zoom the TBT, and we have our last live show before the Final Four start tomorrow. And you'll see on the notes and on the YouTube chat, there is a link with the password and meeting ID to join us if you want to chat with us at the end. We're taking callers. First off, let me go ahead and talk about our guest analysts joining me tonight. We have Matt Sheldon-Eld of Ram Nation and Garrett Marks of the Fort Wayne Champs. Guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
I feel awesome. It felt great to have a Saturday watching basketball at this level.
Oh, God bless too.
Yeah,
How about you,
I
Garrett?
agree. It has been nice to just have basketball on. I've been really watching most of the games or almost all of them, and it's just been a pleasure to watch and to follow. And honestly, it's almost been a relief to not be in it this year. Is just to watch as a fan and just really enjoy it without all the stress that's involved.
Yeah, I mean, with the quarantine especially, it has to be very difficult. So I'm sure that you guys would love to be there, but in a way, if you're going to miss a year, this was probably the year to miss. Look at these guys. You have a combined, both of you, 17-9 record. That's amazing. Both have gone deep. Matt, you've been to the round of 8 twice. Garrett, your team has been in the Final Four once. So start off with you, like Matt, what makes a TBT team successful?
I think, one thing we definitely saw that made it successful this week in particular, look at a money team and look at Herd That. And I think they showed you how big team chemistry is. You can have, Hines, they lost their game. Money team lost their game. You can have a team full of talent, but you got to bring it together quick. And I think that's what helped us succeed. Especially being an alumni team, there's a little bit of an advantage there. Guys know systems, they've played together. And I think that can really help you. And I think that really helped Herd That in their run and before facing, Joe Johnson and overseas the league.
Yeah, definitely. And you've been here before, Garrett. Like, what does it take to make the Final Four? Because your team made it in 2015.
Yeah, I think it really just takes everybody, and this is just a cliche, but buying in and no one going off on their own and trying to think I'm better than this. And I think, that's when teams lose, is when they have a guy or two guys, they come in thinking, I played in the NBA or I played in top leagues overseas, and they're just going to destroy everyone. Where it's like a very, very high level of basketball, and especially now in 2020, like everybody can play. If you're in TBT, you're good at basketball, and there's not the difference isn't that much generally. So if you're not prepared to bring it, it's very easy to go home that first game. And I think another thing, you see is the veteran teams are more likely to make those deep runs. And Dayton has a lot of younger guys, so they could prove this wrong. But having those veterans that have been there before and they can get you through those tough moments and keep calm is the biggest thing, especially with the Elam ending. It's easy to get rattled if you have never done it before. If you're, it's the first time, it's tough.
Yeah, definitely. I got a couple guests coming in too. So sorry, we don't have a producer in this, so I'm also doing a little bit of traffic copying. So I apologize, lose concentration for a minute. If you're one of our guests who came on, I'll wait to call you in as a surprise our wonderful listeners here. Looking at this bracket, I mean, obviously Cinderella is still alive, Garrett. I mean, you see the sideline cancer team still breathing. Does that surprise you?
A little bit, on paper originally, before the tournament started, but looking at their roster, they do have some, they have some veteran guys. They have guys that played in TBT multiple years. Obviously, their GM, Billy Clapper. And this team has been in the TBT since 2014, so actually the year before that we played our first year. And I actually remember in 2015 doing a practice in Chicago where the next court over was sideline cancer, and Billy comes over and says hi and everything. So it's just kind of cool to see them making this run. But it's just, honestly, I felt like this was the most wide open TBT, just with the not just the quarantine, but the teams having to drop out or players having to drop out. It really kind of evened the playing field quite a bit. So it's, and I'm not taking anything away from Side of Cancer. They're a great team, a lot of great players. So while it's a surprise, and I don't think the seedings really mean a lot in TBT as much. I think that it's really hard to seed, especially looking at hindsight. So while it's a little bit of surprise on paper, but if you do a deep dive into their roster and background, it's not a huge surprise.
Yeah, and think about that too, obviously. So Matt, obviously this has been interesting because this is the first time we've had a tournament with this level of buys. I mean, there's been buys before, but only for a few top seeds. Obviously 3 of the 4 teams advanced got the bye. Was the bye a real advantage in a short tournament like this, or was it just the quality of teams that made it play out this way?
I mean, it's definitely an advantage when you win two games and you're all of a sudden in the Final Four. I mean, it's a huge advantage. I mean, our very first game, we played North Carolina Prodigal Sons. This is our very first game ever, and we were down 20 in the second half. And so, those extra games are an opportunity for a slip up. And so it definitely it helps. I mean, it puts you closer to $1 million. But that said, with this tournament, it's 24 teams. You got to be able to hoop to get in. And I'd say for the most part, maybe minus one team in the field, all of these teams could really bring it. And, look at House of Pain being a great example. They were a 16 seed. They took down the defending champs. And so, this is definitely an interesting year with the seeding.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting too, because you really have this great bunch of teams. And we talk about the thing, when you cut to 24 teams, and there are never bad teams in TBT. That's a big misnomer in the sense that, like, they have bad teams. There's never bad teams in this tournament, but there are gradations. And this year, those gradations are much flatter. Like 1 to 24, every team had a little bit of chance to at least win a couple of games. And almost all teams had some chance of winning the whole thing. So seeing a team like Sideline Cancer going deep in this and getting that Final Four, as you can see in this very short slide, isn't that hard to see. And I guess look at these games. So, Garrett, what did you see? Actually, no, I think Matt knows these teams better. Matt, what did you see in the game with Red Scare and House of Pain?
I mean, well, being a VCU guy, I saw what I've seen a lot the past year. My VCU Rams lost to a lot of these guys twice this past season. I've seen just how good Trey Landers is for 4 years. I know how good Ryan Mikesell is. I know how good Devin Oliver is. And then it was great to see how well Trevor Thompson fit in with that group and Ryan McMahon. And so I saw kind of a little bit of that 2020 Dayton Flyer formula. Obviously no Obi Toppin in there, but a good big in Thompson. And then you had McMahon sort of playing that Jalen Crutcher role, and they just did what they do. And you saw them sort of make relatively easy work before Elam made it interesting against a game House of Pain team with a arguable NBA talent in Mike Dahm. A team that knocked out Carmen's crew.
Not much of an argument there. He had a tough game, but definitely if he's not on a flight to Orlando right now, someone fucked up.
Right. And well, that's the thing too, about this. I love Mike Dahm's game, and he scored 3,000 points in college, which how do you do that? That's insane. But what does that also say about how good Trey Landers is? This guy just finished college. I mean, he was dunking all over the place, and he made life miserable for Dahm.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the other matchup we had the next day was the Eagles and Briley Love of a tight-fought game. Garrett, what did you see in that game?
I love the Golden Eagles. I think they're probably the most complete team in this field. Just to be able and then getting DJO back this year was huge. We had to play against him last year, and he's just one of the tougher players in this tournament, one of the tougher guards. Then you also have Jamil Wilson, Dwight Bucks. I mean, and just they have so many guys, and then they've had this chemistry. And they what's their history been? They've made the championship game. They've made the semifinals, and I mean, like, they've never not made past the Elite Eight at least. So
I think they have 17 wins now, if my count's correct. We have on the slide 17 wins,
and they've only played 3 years, I believe, right?
I think 4, but yeah, it's still incredible. It's still incredible.
But yeah, just that's and Team Brotherly Love is a team that they just have the chemistry and they play so well together and have a lot of great pros. But to me, the Golden Eagles are just. I mean, we're gonna get into this later, but I mean, they're my team to beat here, and they've really, now that they have a couple games under their belt, I mean, they're gonna be tough to knock out.
Totally makes sense. Okay, so going around overseas league, we'll gloss over this one because we have a guest coming on next. I mean, the Heard That Cinderella run ended. They had Ott covering Joe, which is kind of funny. Ott's obviously a legend. It was a great run for Heard That with a fun team, a balanced team. They played really well. They fought hard, but they just didn't have enough. It's sort of the curtain fell down. This team earned a respect there. They're one of the last teams in. people had doubts about their ability to compete at this level, and they basically made sure that people understood they could put a fight on them. But let's go ahead. I want to bring in our guest real quick because Sideline was able to pull off the nominal upset here. And I'd like to bring on, we have some of the Sideline guys here, in fact. We've got GM Billy Clapper and coaches Mr. Griffin and Charlie Parker. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this game in depth. We'll get to you guys next in stats, too. So we have some stats to talk about with you guys. But, like, you guys really won this game on the glass. Like, I saw I believe a plus 22 rebound, which is just unheard of. So, Coach Parker, how were you able to get your guys compete that hard on the boards?
Our guys just have a very a dog mentality, a will to fight, a will to win. We knew that from the matchup that ET would be able to have a huge game, but they had some size and length, but none of their guys were actually true fives or even maybe true power forwards. They had a lot of stretch fours out there. We knew that we'd be able to dominate on the inside as long as we brought the effort, and we were able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I can completely see that. And I saw the shooting percentages. So, like, I mean, Billy, you were watching obviously from home because you're not in the quarantine due to the time limits. But, like, how proud of you were your guys today?
I was really proud of them. I thought, it's a game of runs, obviously. And, I was just telling my wife, Brianne, here, I said, I knew, at one point somebody was going to make a run. And our defense had been really steady. And, just sure enough, we were able to get a couple plays to go our way offensively. And that got the run started, obviously in the third quarter.
How important is it, do you think, that you guys have been in this every year and these guys have the TBT experience? What do you think that brings to it?
I think it's powerful in the sense of the brand. That's always been one of the things with that. And then I think the other part of it would be is the consistency. I mean, obviously we all know from our TBT experiences, players come and players go. And, I've had to make some tough decisions over the years with some guys, in addition to getting Charlie and Jordan's opinion on certain players. But, Mo Creek is in his third year. Remy Abel's in his third year. Dwayne Johnson, comes off our bench. He's been there for 6 years. And then, having guys like Marcus Keene and Eric Thompson, coming back for a second year now. That's so important, I think, to have that, that cohesiveness.
Okay, yeah, and let's go ahead and get back into the analysis here because I want to talk about the actual upcoming matchups because, obviously you guys have such a great team, but you guys have a bit of a hard road. Like the whole thing's been hard. So let's go ahead and get into what's happening next for you guys. And we're now seeing, again, we've got the semifinals coming up, and you guys are playing tomorrow. You're the second game at 6 p.m., and you're playing Overseas Elite. And Coach Griffin, like on paper, this is a big challenge for you guys. How are you getting amped up for this?
So I think the big thing was, last year, and I'm going to kind of pull in last year and then tie it into what's going on right now with us. Last year we played in front of, 8,000 fans against Kansas and then backed it up by playing in front of like 8,500 fans when we played against Wichita State in front of a packed crowd. And we were really riding like the emotional roller coaster. This last game that we just had, like, we really ran away with it in the second half. And by the time the Elam hit, I think we had like a 19, 20-point lead. And so we weren't flying nearly as high. So, I always tell, I'm a high school basketball coach too, you're going to have highs and lows throughout the year. This was kind of just like a steadfast victory that, we had to fight and grind for. But because there wasn't that high, I don't know if the turnaround is going to really affect us. And we just had 3 days off as well. And so those things will play to our benefit.
Yeah, and Coach Parker, looking at this lineup, I mean, the stats are pretty easy here. You're looking at a guy like Joe, who put up 35, and also was a distributor, leading the team in assists with 5. How are you going to cover him? Is this going to be every man on deck is going to be able? Is it going to be Deion Wright really getting into him? Like, what do you think is going to be the best way to gang tackle the former 7-time NBA All-Star?
Well, obviously they played right before us. So I think I got to see the first quarter. It's on my to-do list tonight to make sure I see that whole film, just to see where he was able to get his buckets from, what type of things he likes to do, how he was able to be comfortable with scoring that many points. I know that he's a tough cover. Obviously, I've been saying this whole tournament that the more work we do early, the easier it is to defend. So I think making it tougher for him to catch and also making him play defense, I think are two of the things that we'll look to do. If he's expending energy on the defensive end and we're running and we're making it hard for him to catch the ball in the spots he wants it, I think we'll be able to live with our defensive principles. But I expect Jamel Artis to start on him. And I expect, a few other guys to get an opportunity to guard him, especially Remy Abel.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at this again. Like, one thing I find shocking with this is all this creative, all that collapsing on Joe allowed them to shoot 18 of 31 from three. Billy, have you seen many teams shoot 18 of 31 for three for a full game?
No, not at all.
Hey, Billy, how about Iona back in 2018?
Yeah, they made some shots then.
They made
Well,
17 of 32, I think it was.
It's interesting that you guys bring that up because, I mean, obviously Joe's been around for a long time. But, I do remember that Joe Johnson's original, early in his career when he first had success, he was coming off the bench on D'Antoni's Phoenix Suns. And I remember Steve Nash was the point guard in that situation, but I think D'Antoni was onto something where he was able to see Joe's ability to have a floor game and actually run the offense. So Joe's always been able to pick apart defenses. Obviously, he doesn't have the speed that he had in the early part of his career, but
doesn't need it though. Doesn't need that body at 6'7". He can see over defenders.
Exactly. So he can pick people apart.
Yeah.
Fellas, you guys kind of played a similar team to start your journey with catching Team Hines in that game one. How do you guys think that prepares you for this? Because they're very much a similar sort of almost like a EuroLeague all-star team. How do you think that gets you ready going into this game against Overseas Elite? And that was your toughest game in this so far.
Charlie, go ahead.
I think it's honestly just, one of those matchups where everybody's got to buy in. Everybody's got to dig down deep. Today was we knew that going into the day, the game was going to have a little bit different feel with the 2-3 zone that Boeheim's Army plays. But even though Joe Johnson had over 35 points today, we know that they have a talented team. They have a deep team. They have a deep roster. All of these guys can put the ball in the hole. So it's one of those games where everybody's got to lock in and focus. You obviously can't key on one guy. We have to keep the ball out of the paint. And when they are able to kick the ball out, we have to be able to close under control and force tough shots.
Now, enough about your opponents, though, because Frank, let's give you guys some shine because you guys won your damn game. So let's talk about this for a minute. So obviously, we're talking about sideline cancer, and again, like the lowest seed left, a little bit of tough road, and you guys have faced a gauntlet of Hines, ALS, and Boeheim's Army, 11-6-3, the underdog, wearing the dark uniforms in every game, proving the seeding's wrong every time. Is Diamond Stone going to be able to play tomorrow, you guys think?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a bummer. I guess the ankle, it's just not coming around.
Yeah.
Okay, but one thing that's interesting about this team, and Garrett, back me up here, I like how balanced Sideline is because, like, we talk about Joe, and they're not a one-man band. Overseas got a lot of talent, but Sideline's coming with Keene, Creek, and Abel as a three-headed backcourt with a lot of weapons, with Thompson providing that interior presence. Like, can you talk maybe, Garrett, what do you think you see there with the balance there?
No, definitely. I think a lot of people thought, like today, thinking Keene is the guy to stop, and then and he still had a nice game, and then Creek, is the guy. So I think in general, this is going to be a matchup of, a great team and Sideline Cancer, who guys are playing really well together, and Overseas Elite. They've looked good together, but are they really a team when things get tough and they face a team like this? And that's what and also, Joe Johnson's had a great game today, a really good game the game before, but can he keep that going? And if he doesn't, if he falters and shots don't start to, fall, is someone else gonna pick up the pieces there? So it's a really interesting matchup. I'm excited to watch it.
Definitely. Now, and Coach Parker, can you talk a little bit about having a guy as selfless? Hang on a second.
This dude's done.
Okay, that was obnoxious. Sorry, guys. We have people calling in and yelling, so that's no good. Okay, so apologize for that. Sometimes you do live stuff. That's what happens.
I got to get on this Zoom call.
Okay, so here we go. Sorry about that. So Thompson, having an inside presence, Coach Parker.
Yes.
Is that going to be something that works against? Because like one thing that hurt that wasn't able to do is control the boards. They were minus 12 on the boards. And then you're having that. And then what ends up happening is Eric Thompson by himself got 18 rebounds. How much of a weapon is that getting second chances? And that volleyball block, the interior presence where he just erased that shot's ability to even get up, which is an amazing block, amazing chase down. What does Thompson provide as a selfless interior banger?
He provides everything when it comes to being interior, when it comes to being selfless. I mean, even just thinking about some of these guys that might not have played with him before, in the first game, he didn't have that many touches. And one of our players actually said, hey, we should throw it down on the inside at least once, or else ET's going to stop running. And that's kind of one of those things that a lot of people feel about basketball is if you're not giving the bigs touches, they stop playing defense. They stop running the floor. ET's motor never turns off. He is amazing in that mindset. And actually on the walk back from the arena today, you know, I'm watching this chase down block and everybody's probably very enamored with the block itself, but I'm watching him actually chase this guy down. And the immediate thing that hits my mind, last night after we finished practice, you know, we got some guys playing one-on-one, some guys just getting a little shots up. Some guys are, you know, taking the shoes off and heading upstairs because we've already ended our formal practice. And ET says, hey, coach, can you pull your stopwatch out? I need to run some sprints. And my man ET was literally running sprints last night in preparation for today's game.
Yeah, that kind of fire. That kind of fire.
His work ethic is crazy.
And I want to highlight this because in the stats that was interesting. He took 5 shots, only made 1. He literally only scored 4 points. And I don't think I've ever seen in this tournament someone only score 4 points and have that sort of almost MVP level back physical presence. So having that engine, I mean, Matt, what does it mean to have a selfless guy down the inside of a team?
Well, I mean, I think for us, kind of a similar. I don't know about selfless, but just having a guy who can protect the rack. I mean, we had Zeke Marshall one year when we made one of our best runs, and it just changes the game for you. But yeah, I mean, when you're in a tournament like this, you need as many people to be selfless as possible. Like you're not guaranteed any money, so if everyone on your team's not selfless heading into this, you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that selflessness will be necessary against a team that's as loaded as sideline. Okay, or loaded as the other team, I'm sorry. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and let's put our money where our mouths is. I'm going to cover charge today. Matt, who'd you have?
I went overseas elite.
Yeah, any reason for that? Just go ahead. You can't just say, what do you see? I
mean, it's just Joe Johnson. He's just on another level. I don't think their bench gave them much today. I think their bench is gonna be better going forward. And I thought they really needed Joe to dominate, but I think they're just gonna keep gaining momentum as a team, figuring things out. And I mean, when you got a guy like that on your squad, that's just so tough to beat. But I think they're gonna get more from everyone else going forward.
Fair enough. Garrett, where do you have here?
Can I change my pick now?
No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. We don't pander here. We don't pander here.
No, but I did pick overseas elite, but I do think it's going to be a really tough game, and it's like one of those games where if I was going to say, you know, overseas elite wins 60 times, sideline cancer wins 40 times, because sideline cancer does have that team chemistry going, and I think it's just going to be a matter of, hey, can Joe Johnson keep this rolling? Are the other guys on overseas elite gonna contribute? I mean, and when they face a tough team like this, is it going to start to fall apart? You know, overseas elite did beat, you know, Armored Athlete. I thought was a really, really good team, and I'm a little biased.
They are a really good team. They're a really good
couple guys on there, but they beat them, and you know, heard that was a pretty big mismatch. But I think this will be a really tough game. But you know, if I'm having to pick, hopefully this is a good motivation for you guys to prove us all wrong here.
Hey, Nick, you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Nick Isabella, who is the GM of Power of Paul's a call-in guest. We're going to actually let him. Charges in here. Do you want to go ahead and make Charges pick for him and talk about why he picked sideline?
I'll tell you why I want sideline. I mean, I love what Billy has done ever since.
There we go.
Ever since the Andy Robinson days. I went to high school with Andy Robinson.
There's a legend, Andy Robinson.
For them guys real hard.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a great game. Look, we try to keep it honest here, despite the fact we obviously are all big sideline fans. I picked overseas lead. I'll tell you why, by the way. And I'll tell you why I could be wrong. So I think sideline. I think Sideline's a great team. I think the top intent. I'm just scared of Joe Johnson because this whole time I wondered if he'd be motivated to play hard, and clearly I didn't need to worry about this. Professionally comes hard. Here's why this pick may be wrong, though. I think overseas is slightly more talented. This favorite word of this podcast is cohesion. And there isn't a team more cohesive than Sideline. So here's my take. Sideline, I think, will win. It's going to pain me to say it literally in the faces of three people I've come to like a great deal. But I will say this. If this game is close, overseas hasn't been tested yet. If this game gets close, if this game's a couple possessions late, Sideline will win that game. So I'm saying overseas wins if it gave it 10-15. This gets to 4. They get a punch in the mouth. They got Eric running down and banging with these guys. This is an upset can still happen. There's no reason Sideline can't win this. But it was hard for me to pick against overseas elite because of the talent level, despite the fact Sideline's also a great team. Billy, we picked against you basically as a panel. We weren't trying to piss you off. We had to be honest. Please use this as motivation, okay?
Oh, I've already texted Charlie and Jordan to talk about motivation. So.
And we're rooting for you guys. Like, not just because I picked overseas league. I hope you guys win, honestly. I mean,
we appreciate
we
that.
want to prove everybody wrong, my man.
Me and Charge are basically media now, so we're not supposed to root for people. We're rooting for you. But the reality is we have to be honest with the picks. By the way, I hope I'm wrong here. So I think it'd be a great story to have Sideline win. And I really hope you guys pull this off.
I want to add to that. I hope I'm wrong too. My guy Dion Wright played for Ram Nation to start his TBT career, so I'm rooting for Dion to get the money when we couldn't a few years ago.
I'm glad you mentioned Dion because like he does not fill up a stat sheet, but you see him like court and he does all the little things to help you win. He bumps cutters. He like gets the little dirty rebound. Like his stat lines are almost empty, but every time he's in the court, you see him contributing. Like it doesn't show up in the box score. He's one of those guys that just doesn't show up in the box score, but he shows up on the court.
And I would like to go ahead and make a point about that because obviously we are going to take this as some motivation. I mean, we've been motivated.
Please.
We've been motivated from day one. But me and Jordan have been talking about Billy's job as a GM. And, we understand the talent level that some of these teams bring. But I will say this. When you have 10 or 11 guys deep that are all used to being the guy, that is my question is who tomorrow is going to be the dirty work person, who tomorrow is going to accept the role of I just need to defend to stop somebody and run the floor, and I'll let Marcus Keene do his thing.
Because nobody's done that to OC. No one's done it to OE yet. No one's forced him to do that yet.
That's what we're going to try to do with the matchups that we have, with the camaraderie, the team chemistry, like you said, the cohesion. There's only one ball. At the end of the day, everybody's got to play defense.
Okay, guys, I actually want to go ahead and just let you guys go for the very simple reason I know you have to prep. I want to make sure thanks for coming on. Again, a great win. Forcing Syracuse to shoot 14% from 3 if the defense was great. Forcing them not to have any driving lanes was great. You guys played a hard, competitive game. And we'd love to have you on in anticipation of you guys winning the money. So please go out there and prove us wrong, okay?
Yeah, good luck.
Andrew, hold on real quick. Hold on.
Go. Hit it, Billy.
I just want to make sure you note that I'm the first person to ever be on your show.
Billy is our first guest. Billy is our first guest. He was episode 1.
Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that's how bad I wanted to be on the show.
Billy,
take Silo on a walk. Okay?
Billy. If you guys win, we're going to do shows Tuesday, both before, which frankly, we're not going to ask you on if you win, so you need to prep. We are doing a show after. You come on and crow about for episode 43 if you win, okay?
Sounds great, man. Appreciate your support.
Of course. On that note, guys, sideline cancer. Coaches Parker Griffin and GM Billy Clapper. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, fellas.
Good luck, fellas.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, we're going to move on a bit. They're going to get off. Thank you guys again. And we're going to the next game because we got to keep this moving a little bit. We got Wander the wings to talk a little bit about gambling at the end. So let's talk about this Golden Eagles alumni versus the Red Scare. This is going to be a really, really crazy game. And Garrett, you're pretty familiar with Marquette, correct?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these guys play in the G League at various times with my time in Fort Wayne with the Mad Ants. Jamil Wilson actually played for the Mad Ants, and I got to see him play in person a lot. They're just like I said earlier, they're just, to me on paper and person or at least watching them live, like they look like the complete team to me. Jamil Wilson, such a tough matchup. Having DJO, and then you've got Acker, Bucks. I mean, or Bikes. Everybody is just so solid. I mean, you have like Andrew Rousey coming off the bench. He's a great scorer, great shooter. Diener hasn't, I think it was an ankle injury, so he hasn't really played much. I think he made the first game.
Did not play old.
DNPO. But yeah, I just think they're a really complete team, and I mean and I know I'm jumping ahead, but I mean they're my team to kind of go all the way here. So yeah. I think they're going to be tough to beat. They're honestly kind of the Carmen's crew of last year, where they're just that complete team, and maybe they don't have the individual best player in the tournament, but as a team, they're just so loaded and balanced.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at this too, and like one thing that's interesting about this box score is how even they have the scoring when the wings in the backcourt, but also nothing stands out. They don't rebound exceptionally well. They have done that many assists on passes. It's less than half of them, but the efficiency numbers are off the chart. I mean, everything 50, 40, 90. That's like Steve Nash numbers across the team.
Yeah, I think that's
insane.
Watching going back to DJO, I mean, he can just make scoring look so easy. Like he'll just a quick first step and he's at the hoop, and there's no one's got in front of him, and that's kind of how they can score. And yeah, I just really like this team. Excited to see what happens tomorrow.
I will say one thing that stands out too is they did give up 24 free throws. Now, granted, Burley Love's a really physical team, so we'll see if Red Scare can go with that. But creating 24 free throws in a 36-minute game is pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey, Matt, let's talk a little bit about their opponents, which are the Red Scare. 4-1, obviously, won 2 games here. Big X and House of Pain. And let's talk a little bit. So, how's this roster? You're an A10 guy. How is this roster so dangerous?
I mean, well, for starters, these guys have played with each other, on previous teams. I guess a few of them played last year on the TBT together. They have a system, and I think they've got a few of these versatile pieces that we've seen a team like Overseas Elite go all the way with. These 6'6" guys that can switch everything. Trey Landers, you've got Oliver. My guy Chip Mike Sell can do a little bit of everything, and I just think I see it twice a year, and it doesn't always go well for my Rams. And let me ask you guys this: do you believe in the gods of basketball?
Yes, I'm a Memphis fan. We lost up 9 in the title. Of course I do, and they hate me.
Well, I just think the Dayton Flyers were going to be a number 1 seed in this year's basketball tournament. And had a real shot to potentially go all the way. I mean,
on their home floor.
Right. Well, but I mean, in the NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I just think just having that snatched away from them, I feel like they may be a team of destiny. And you've got 2 guys on this team, in Trey Landers and Ryan Mikesell, that were on that Dayton team. And I just feel like the gods of basketball are rooting for the Flyers in this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. Okay,
but they can also hoop as well.
Yeah. And looking a little bit at this, again, sort of similar to other teams. And I mean, we'll get Nick in here. He's here. You see this balanced attack for the Red Scare. How useful is it to have 4 guys score double digits, 5 guys score double digits?
Right. I mean, they're just a team. They've got, and that's the thing, sort of the deeper you go into a tournament, it's great that they have that evenly distributed, but I think they've got a little more data now that they can in the crunch time. Okay, maybe we need Ryan Mikesell out there more than we thought we did. And yeah, they're just, that's how they play in college. The Dayton Flyers are a team, and I think they have a tough matchup. But
it's a very difficult matchup. Well,
right,
it's the Final Four. They're all hard at this point.
Right, exactly. But they got some guys like I said earlier. Trey Landers, he got the better of Mike Dahm, and a guy we think is a potential NBA guy. So
yeah, 4 of 12. That's crazy. He held him to 4 of 12. Yeah.
Right. I think they're and they're just such a tough team, and I'm excited to see what they can do against the Marquette squad.
On that note, let's talk about the picks. And Matt, who do you have? Let's go ahead and talk about that team of destiny.
Well, yeah, I think this is a tough one. My head, wants to pick kind of the Golden Eagles on this one, but this is like the one time in these picks I'm going with my heart. And so I'm going with the Red Scare. I think they're a team of destiny.
I can buy that. Garrett, present the opposing view.
Yeah, well, I just think, and I forget if it was Dan Dockich or Fran Fraschilla or Seth Green, but someone said, young teams don't win in the basketball tournament, which obviously this team has. But I think when you get down to the Final Four here, I think the veteran team kind of prevails, and that they've been through so many situations, they've seen it all, and they're going to be able to stay calm when that $1 million, now it's real. Now you win this, you're in the game, the championship game. Golden Eagles have been there before. Pretty much everyone's still in their prime. I just feel like it's going to be tough for Red Scare. And again, not saying Red Scare can't win. They definitely can. But I think, to me, the Golden Eagles are a favorite here.
Now, my buddy Charge, my partner, is currently unable to do this show due to the fact of internet problems in Western New York. So, Nick, you've been very gracious in subbing him. He had picked Golden Eagles as well. Why would you think that might be a good pick?
I think I'm going to agree with Garrett, and I think Joe runs a tremendous organization with the Golden Eagles alumni team, and I just think they're going to be a little too tough for the Red Scare, even though they've been plugging away. But just seeing how the Red Scare ended their last game, I'm not sure. I don't know if they have enough.
Yeah. I mean, I also picked Golden Eagles. I think both these games are being incredible. I'll be shocked if both these teams aren't, both these games, both the one we just talked about and this one aren't close. Having said that, I think the Eagles are just a little more efficient. These teams have very similar blueprints. Balanced scoring, slightly undersized, but still physical despite being on the smaller side. Don't play a ton of guys, shoot really well. Off the charts efficiency numbers. I think the Eagles just get by, like you were talking about, on experience. They'll be there looking for their 18th win in the TBT, whereas when Red Scare is looking for their 5th, there's a slight experience difference. And that's going to be the difference in a very, very competitive game. I mean, this game's going to be great. I can't wait for this. So here's our panel's picks. You can see, and Garrett, you're a new ad, so you're on the panel, but we can see Matt will also be on the panel. Golden Eagles are picked by many. Matt has the Red Scare, so does Coach Reg at D3. And Sideline's a fairly popular pick, actually. Myself and Matt have OE, but Sideline's getting a lot of action here. And I think it shows how close these are, that the picks are divided. I expect these all to be close and all to be a lot of fun. And any of these teams left can win it. Matt, which of the games are you most looking forward to and why?
Oh, man. I mean, both of these games are, so tough. I guess I'm looking forward to Red Scare Golden Eagles just because I'm an A10 guy, and this one hits a little closer to home, and I've got a lot of friends over at Dayton, and I think this would be pretty cool for them.
And Garrett, I guess you got basically the underdog, the David and Goliath. You've got the 22 seed versus the 4-time champs. Why is the casual fan supposed to be excited about this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you look at Overseas Elite. Obviously Joe Johnson, everybody knows him, but just looking at like the Pooh Jetters, the Bobby Browns, like these are elite level guys who have played all around the world in top countries, top place, played in the NBA. And you get to see these guys in this type of format against a team that maybe doesn't have the biggest names, but they played so great in this, and they are a ton of professionals on this team. I think everyone's a professional, and they've made this great deep run, and it's the David versus Goliath, and who doesn't want to see David win? I think even though I picked Overseas Elite, I'm rooting for Sideline Cancer, especially a team that has been in TBT since the formation of TBT in 2014. Every year, they're the last team that's now been in it every single year. And now that for them to be in this spot, maybe this is destiny for Sideline Cancer as well. They're definitely capable of winning.
So, Nick, what are you most looking forward to in these matchups?
I'm about to go on here, actually.
I would love to see two great games. There's 4 great teams, and I just think both games are going to be battles. So I'm curious to see who comes on top.
Fair enough. Okay. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to bring on Juan. Magic Juan. Sorry, Magic. We've had to mute you a couple times. You're somewhere loud. So, Juan, are you there?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
We kept bringing you in. I kept hearing things like, I'm about to go on this call. I'm like, dude, wait till you're on.
Yeah, no, I kept on. I just kept on like trying to silence it and not silence it and all that.
I hear you. I'm just giving you crap, Juan. We're always glad to have you on. Okay, so Magic, let's talk about this a bit, okay? So here's where we're at now. We've got the lines, and we're talking about these 2 games. And we've got the Golden Eagles alumni, Red Scare, and Overseas Elite Sideline. Let's go to Golden Eagles first. And you have Golden Eagles at -3. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think 3 is the typical standard line for a basketball game, being that this is a neutral court between 2 fairly even teams. I think Marquette is just a little bit better in terms of the experience and the way they've played. So it's going to be a very close game. 1 possession game, so I'm giving Dayton a little bit of leeway to maybe try to cover the spread in a 1 possession game.
Fair enough. In the other game, you have Overseas as a 4.5, but with a caveat. That story means there's a caveat, so we'll put that there.
Yeah. So the caveat here is if Diamond Stone plays, which if he does, that line moves to about 3.
Just for you, Juan, real quick. By the way, we actually had the satellite guys on a minute ago. That's why we had to delay your segment. And Stone is not playing, so I guess you would say that line would hold then.
Okay, so then the line's 4.5. I think it's, again, this is going to be a very close game. But if you look at Overseas Elite's talent and the way they've played, I think they're just a little bit better overall, and I think the public is going to get behind them to try to cover this spread tomorrow.
Totally makes sense. Okay, real quick, let's go ahead and drop this. And Juan, are you in the middle of a hurricane?
No, I'm in a house and it's raining and we've got UFC fights on.
Oh, who's winning the UFC fights?
So this guy Santos just won. And
Did
then
he care about UFC, or is it just I don't care about UFC, that's for sure.
Oh no, I mean it's just, hey man, it's something to watch.
Garrett, have you ever done UFC? Have you ever tried to punch people out?
I've never really followed UFC that closely, but no, I've never participated, that's for sure.
Has anybody here ever done UFC training at all of any kind?
I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I don't do the punching, but I do the choking.
Juan, who do you have in the big match tonight? I guess the last one.
I really like the way Masvidal fights, but it's going to be hard given the circumstances that he just took this fight 6 days ago, and he had to go on a flight all the way across the world and then quarantine, and now he's fighting. Keep in mind that this fight is going to happen I think it's 7 a.m. local time over in Abu Dhabi. So
Pedro Posse, TBT 2021.
So hey, Garrett, we're going to be closing up soon. What are you most looking forward to tomorrow?
Honestly, I really am intrigued by this Overseas Elite team because they've changed their roster so much from the previous years, and seeing if they can kind of keep it together, because obviously the talent's there, but they're going to, as you go on in the tournament, you keep facing more and more challenges, and they're going to be up against a really good Sideline Cancer team. And when things get tough, can they keep it together? Can they continue to play with Joe Johnson hasn't. I mean, he scored 35, 37 today, but I mean, it was within the flow of the offense. It wasn't like he was going off on his own. And so they can keep that together. And what happens if Joe doesn't, go off again tomorrow? Is Sideline Cancer going to be able to sneak that out?
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking too. Nick, you see you in that wonderful outfit, that beautiful TBT outfit. What are you looking forward to tomorrow?
I would like to see. I mean, Sideline obviously killed Syracuse on the boards today, but I think Sideline only shot less than 20% from 3. So I'd like
17 is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you need to play a complete game, obviously, in the Final Four to get a W. So be curious to see that.
That game was an absolute rock fight. It was like watching, just people try to actually have a UFC fight. Juan, on your betting lines, did you see any value, or is tomorrow one of those days you only bet if you're a compulsive degenerate?
Well, no, listen, you can't bet something until the actual lines come out. So, for example, today, I posted last night that I thought the line was going to be Overseas Elite -8.5, which is what it closed at. But when I saw it at 4 this morning, I pounded it so hard that, there's a value in playing.
Juan, this is a family show.
Okay, yeah, well, that's why I said that's why I'm going to just keep it like that. But in terms of the game tomorrow, if Jamel Artis, who is an NBA level player, he was with the Magic 2 years ago, he can, if there's anybody in the tournament that's left that can stymie ISO Joe, it's him.
Fair enough. He's got the size to do
one-on-one,
it.
no help. I think that there's a possibility that Sideline wins that game if he can stymie ISO Joe. But I don't think there's going to be value in the Marquette game tomorrow unless it's a pick'em. If it's a pick'em, then you kind of have to take Marquette. But if it's 1, 2, or 3, then I would stay away. I don't think Dayton's going to be favored.
No, I don't think so. Because both the fan bases are both some of the great middle-class fan bases of basketball. Like, they don't have a Duke-level fan base, but they're better than, for example, unfortunately, my Memphis Tigers fan base. They have bigger fan bases than those. So there will be enough fans to keep it kind of even. Matt, closing thought here. You believe in the basketball gods, as do I. What prayer does Dayton need to say? What is Joey on his knees praying to the basketball gods right now as he prepares for this next game?
Oh, man. I think they're probably just having a serious talk about what happened this past March, when how basketball was snatched from the hands of the Flyer faithful. I mean, Dayton, Ohio, this is 14,000 people almost. They'll go watch Dayton versus Stetson, and this was their team. This was their team to make a run. And I think there's some negotiation probably going on between Joey Gruden and the basketball gods.
Hey,
so
if you get me Joey Gruden's phone number, I will pay you a lot of money.
He wants to have a talk with Joey right now.
I just want to have a talk with
about an over and under, about an over and under discussion, I believe.
But yeah, I just I think Dayton is the underdog in this one. My head says that Marquette is going to maybe get a shot at Overseas to finally get over the hump. But I believe in the basketball gods, so there's no way Marquette wins and Dayton's going to win, and then they're going to face Overseas Elite and for the ultimate weird Dayton championship of all time.
On that note, we all pray the basketball gods. We're glad basketball gods can listen
Can I
to us
say
now.
a closing thought?
Go on, please.
If you're a betting degenerate, don't bet totals in the TBT. Please don't. I tried it once. I'll never try it again.
Basketball gods and over-unders. We kind of keep a mixed bag here. Ladies and gentlemen, Garrett, Matt, Juan, Nick, thank you so much. We're signing off. We'll talk to you guys all Tuesday at 6 p.m. with our championship pregame. Bye, guys.